Hey everyone, I'm Z, a senior staff front-end engineer, and welcome to Advanced HTML plus React Question and Answer. In this video, we'll walk through 30 real-world questions and answers that are often asked in front-end technical interviews, especially for mid to senior level roles. These are the kinds of questions I've personally been asked by hiring managers, recruiters, and technical interviewers, and ones I've also used when interviewing candidates myself. Today, I'm joined by two awesome folks who represent both sides of the interview table, Fergus as tech interviewer and Rima as recruiter.
Hey Z, glad to be here. I'm always excited to dig into the details. These questions test not just React skills, but your understanding of how HTML plays a critical role in performance, accessibility, and structure.
Hi everyone! I'm always looking for candidates who can clearly explain their technical decisions and show depth in their front-end knowledge. These questions help us spot strong communicators and problem solvers early in the process.
Exactly. So whether you're getting ready for your next interview or just want to level up your React and HTML fundamentals, this video is packed with insightful, high-impact content. Let's dive into all 30 questions and get you ready to shine in your next front-end interview.
Let's talk about using HTML effectively within React. How do you manage semantic HTML in React components?
I use semantic elements like header, section, and article directly in JSX to improve accessibility and SEO, even though they're nested inside React components.
How does dangerouslySetInnerHTML work, and when would you use it?
It lets you inject raw HTML directly into the DOM. I'd only use it when absolutely necessary, like rendering sanitized CMS content, because it can introduce XSS risks.
Why does React use TML for instead of for in label elements?
Because for is a reserved word in JavaScript. HTML for maps to the for attribute in the rendered HTML.
What about the class name attribute? How is that handled differently from plain HTML?
In JSX, you use class name because class is a reserved keyword. React maps class name to the class attribute in the DOM.
How can you use template elements in React?
I can define markup in a template tag and render it using reactem.createPortal to inject the content outside the main component tree.
How do ARIA attributes enhance accessibility in React apps?
ARIA attributes like ARIA label or ARIA hidden provide additional context to screen readers, helping users navigate complex interfaces.
What are data attributes, and how do you access them in React?
Data attributes start with data. In React, you set them the same way you would in HTML, and you can access them with dataset on the DOM node.
How do you manage tab index in React?
I use the tab index prop to control keyboard navigation order, making sure focus flows logically through the interface.
What should you consider when embedding iframe elements?
I ensure proper sandboxing to restrict permissions, set lazy loading when possible, and handle cross-origin policies carefully.
How would you implement responsive images with src set in React?
I pass src set and sizes as props to the image element so the browser can choose the right image based on viewport and resolution.
How does server-side rendering affect HTML in React apps?
Server-side rendering generates static HTML on the server, which improves initial load time and SEO before React hydrates the page.
Why do we need ARIA allows nopener nor refer on links with target =_blank?
It prevents the new tab from accessing the window.opener object, which is a security risk.
How do you manage the lang attribute in multilingual React apps?
I set it on the HTML tag, often using a library like React Helmet or next.js head to adjust it dynamically.
How does React support dialog elements?
I wrap them in components and control visibility with state. I also polyfill unsupported browsers when needed.
What's the best way to handle content-editable elements in React?
Since they don't work well as controlled components, I usually manage updates with refs and event handlers.
Why is it important to use semantic elements in React layouts?
Semantic elements improve accessibility, help search engines understand the content, and make the markup easier to maintain.
How do you manage meta tags dynamically?
I use libraries like React Helmet to inject and update metadata for each page or route.
What's the purpose of ref in React?
Ref gives you direct access to a DOM node, which is useful for focusing inputs, measuring size, or integrating with non-React libraries.
How does React handle inline styles differently?
Inline styles are passed as JavaScript objects rather than CSS strings with property names in camel case.
How do you think about semantic form elements in React forms?
I keep native HTML semantics intact, use proper labels, and leverage ARIA attributes when needed to enhance accessibility.
How would you lazy load images in React?
I use loading lazy on IMG tags or an intersection observer to load images only when they're in the viewport.
What are React fragments and why do we need them?
Fragments let you return multiple elements without wrapping them in a parent div, which keeps the DOM cleaner.
Why does React sometimes wrap text nodes in span elements?
React uses internal wrappers to track updates consistently, especially when text nodes are adjacent to dynamic elements.
How do you use picture for responsive images in JSX?
I nest source elements with different media queries inside picture, ending with a fallback IMG.
How do you integrate custom web components in React?
I render them as custom elements in JSX and pass props as attributes or use refs to access methods.
What's the difference between microdata and JSON-LD for structured data?
Microdata is embedded in HTML attributes, while JSON-LD is preferred for React apps because it's injected as a separate script tag.
How do you set Boolean attributes in JSX?
I pass them as booleans, like disabled =, true or just disabled.
How does React handle target =_blank?
The same as HTML, but it's best practice to also include rel nopener norferer for security.
How do you dynamically pass HTML attributes via props?
I use the spread operator to pass all remaining props onto an element like input rest.
How do you securely embed iframe elements?
I set the sandbox attribute, restrict permissions, and use the allow attribute to control capabilities.
Great insights. Thanks for walking through those examples.
That wraps up our session on Advanced HTML and React 30 Real Interview Questions and Answers. Huge thanks again to Fergus and Rima for joining the conversation and sharing their insights.
Glad to be here. These kinds of discussions are what we look for in great candidates: clarity, depth, and real-world thinking.
Absolutely. If you can confidently answer these 30 questions, you're already standing out to hiring teams.
If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your favorite question in the comments. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your front-end journey. You got this!